mandate. The man has been imposed on Chandigarh without a mandate today. He doesn't have a head count with him in Chandigarh.
Okay.
Accept my challenge. Ask your mayor to go for a mandate now.
Okay, sorry, I'm coming in, not discussing Chandigarh mayor polls either.
Have some water, ma'am. Please have some water.
This is an interesting alliance battle that is shaping up. We'll take this forward in days to come. I do thank all of our guests for joining us. Moving on, Karnataka government has created another furore by announcing that they are framing rules that would mandate multinational companies to display details of Kannadigas employed by them. Kannada and Culture Minister Shivaraj Tangadagi has told reporters that discussions are underway in this regard. A committee will discuss new rules to ensure that Kannadigas are preferred when employment is provided. What raised more eyebrows was also the minister's assertion that failure to comply with Karnataka's new law requiring businesses to display 60% of their name in Kannada on signboards could lead to the cancellation of an establishment's license. BJP MLA CN Ashwanath Narayan said the government cannot implement such laws, adding that such rules will be misused to harass companies operating in Bengaluru and other parts of the state. Let's break down for you what MNCs will be required to do. Now, this hasn't been implemented yet, but it could come into play. They will be required to display number of Kannadigas that are employed with them. This information will have to be put on notice board inside the campuses of these MNCs. And remember, many of them operate out of Bengaluru with large campuses. And a committee is being proposed to look into rules that could be brought in to promote local people in hiring and employment in these MNCs. Let's take a look at how the Supreme Court has usually acted on job quotas for locals in the past. It has ruled against quota based on place of birth or residence. In 1995, the Supreme Court struck down a 5% extra weightage to candidates who had studied Telugu. This was, of course, particular to one state. In 2002, Supreme Court struck down preference given to Rajasthan government teachers belonging to the same district as the hiring was taking place. In 2019, Supreme Court struck down UP recruitment preferring women who originally belonged to the state. Let's also take a look at how a signboard chauvinism is playing out in the state of Karnataka. This is not new. We've seen protesters on the rampage in Bengaluru for this. So, Kannada Language Comprehensive Development Act 2022 was passed by the Assembly in February. The Act applies to commercial, industrial businesses, trusts, hospitals and hotels, etc. The Act makes it mandatory for 60% of the signboard to be in Kannada language and at the top of the board. The state government has asserted that non-compliance can lead to cancellation of licenses of businesses and others. Let's take a look though at whether this is the right way to go, especially for a city like Bengaluru. Look at the linguistic diversity according to 2011 census data, that's the last census available. Kannada speaking 46%. There is a large percentage of Tamil and Telugu speaking people in Bengaluru. Urdu is as high as 12%. Hindi 5.4%, Malayalam and others also forming a pretty big chunk. So when you claim to be a city that is a multinational city, that is a city that attracts people from around the world, is it necessary for this kind of language chauvinism to seek in, particularly making it penalizing? The big debate coming up, from signboards to now even potential hiring. Is there a streak of sub-nationalism that is going too far in some states?
ಕಂಪನಿಗಳಿಗೆ ಏನಾಗಬೇಕು ಮತ್ತು ನಮ್ಮ ರಾಜ್ಯದಲ್ಲಿರುವಂಥ ಕೈಗಾರಿಕೆ ಕಂಪನಿಗಳಿಗೆ ಏನಾಗಬೇಕು ಅನ್ನೋದ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಪೂರ್ಣ ಪ್ರಮಾಣದ ಚರ್ಚೆ ಮಾಡಿ ನಿಯಮಗಳೊಳಗೆ ನಿರ್ಧಾರ
It has become more of a political drama. This is nothing a political drama for the consumption, political consumption.
There is no act as of now. There is no demand from either an industry or from the people.
How do you firstly view this
decision? It's a very retrograde step and should not happen. कहीं ना कहीं सरकार को ये भी देखना चाहिए कि वो योग्य है, उनकी योग्यता के आधार पर डिसीजन लेना चाहिए।
हाँ, ये 100% लोकल पब्लिक के लिए लाभदायक होगा।
लेकिन ये हो सकता है उल्टा भी पड़ जाए।
Beneficial for locals but could backfire. That's what one of the public told us today. Let's go across to our guest joining us, Dr. Narendra Rangarappa, spokesperson of Karnataka BJP, George Kurian, political analyst, backs the Karnataka government. Revati Ashok, CEO, Bangalore Political Action Committee will be with us in just a bit. Sandeep Anirudhan, convener, Citizens Agenda for Bengaluru, is with us as well. Let me go across to Sandeep first up. Sandeep, signboard issue is one, and I think in the past most people have felt that language is a very emotive issue, so no party and not many public is willing to oppose what the Karnataka government is making legal and almost penal in the state. But on the issue of hiring of MNCs displaying Kannadiga employees, possible rules preferring Kannadigas, where do you stand?
See, firstly, I would disagree with calling this language chauvinism for a reason that if a local language is not used in its own geography, what will happen to our languages? We will completely lose our culture. We will lose our collective wisdom of centuries. We'll lose the
because of signboards, Sandeep, because of signboards?
No, what I mean to say is, okay, you go to Japan, all signages are in Japanese.
Yeah, but Japan, one second. You know, I'm glad you raised the example of Japan. You could cite Germany, you could cite many European countries. So for that to happen where they have one national language. Secondly, for that to happen, you have to then make sure, your education happens predominantly in your local languages. Currently, that is not the case, or it's one of the languages. Yeah. So it's a different battle. Is signboard the battle, and is 60% of the signboard in Kannada? Is that making Kannada safe?
Let me clarify. First of all, signage law is a law from 2018.
Sure.
It speaks poorly of the government that it could not enforce it in the first place. Secondly, the signage law clearly says about 60%. Primacy should go to the local language, and you can have second language or third language on the boards. Now, it is not pushing out any other language, but what it intends to do is bring about primacy for the local language. Else, the local language will die. If a language
does the local language die because it's not there on signboards of MNCs? Come on.
Of course,
I'm challenging that premise. It sounds ludicrous to me.
No. See, this is extreme selfishness to say, let's have foreign languages, but let's not have local languages.
I'm not saying let's not have. The question is whether you should penalize businesses if they have 59%. But Sandeep, I got your point very quickly. Where do you stand on the hiring issue? Is that also okay, you think?
See, it's a far more complex issue. On the usage of the language, visibility of the language, it's simply about expressing the local language. That's one thing. And I'm totally for it because, well, we're not pushing out Hindi, English.
Okay, let's move on.
On hiring, it's far more complex. When you are setting up multinational corporations in a city, you are actually proposing to expand the economy. I totally agree with it. But there is a huge price being paid locally in the sense, Bengaluru used to be a garden city not less than 50 years back. Today, it is not the IT capital as people think it is. It is the IT slum of Asia. This city is probably going to replace Dharavi as the largest slum in Asia. That is the price we are paying. Our local resources, our local environment, everything. Bangalore is going through an extreme water crisis.
Okay, that again actually raises the question if the government has its priorities right with the issues Bengaluru is facing and they're worried more about 60% and 59% of signboards. I do question that premise on that logic as well. But I want to go across to Revati Ashok. Very quickly, 1 second Sandeep, very limited time. Revati Ashok is CEO, Bangalore Political Action Committee. You also have a business background, ma'am. First of all, what do you think of the government's thinking about forcing MNCs to display how many locals they employ? Plus, they could look at rules to give preferential treatment to locals in hiring.
See, I think we must understand Bangalore is a global city and it attracts talent from all over the world. If we are all, it is easy to say that Bangalore will become the biggest slum. It is today the highest number of taxpayers in the country. It is a city of the future. It is a city which has got huge technical talent. It attracts talent from all over the country and all over the globe as well. People are willing to come back to Bangalore because they feel there is a good opportunity for them. And that is what progress is all about. Whether it is any global city, whether it is London, New York, Germany, Japan, any of them will attract people from all over the world. So we should not be afraid to attract people from all over the world.
Okay.
Having said that, I think it is important to understand that we are very happy as a nation to learn German when we go to Germany, or try to learn Japanese when we go to Japan, or try to learn French or Spanish, but we don't try to learn our local language. And that is a really important thing. But mixing these two things will not solve the problem. I think it has to come down to people also feeling that they belong to the city and they owe something back to the city. And it is when you learn the local language, you respect the local culture. But having said that, to answer your question on should companies be asked to display how many people, I think it is ludicrous. We are global companies. We cannot be hiring technical talent based on language. We have to
Language
hire
or
the best
residence
people,
or domicile. Absolutely.
or domicile. We have to hire the best people required to perform a job.
Yeah,
So,
and there are other means to promote some of those local employments.
Absolutely.
Similarly, there are means to promote
Kannada
and
culture.
conserve
We have-
local
we have
culture
so
and
many
language,
beautiful-
is what I am saying. I'm not saying it's not
Yes.
important. I'm saying there are other ways to do it than to do it like
Absolutely.
this. Dr. Narendra Rangarappa, what is your objection? I find it curious that BJP should have any objection, because when in power, all parties do exactly this in Karnataka. In fact, BJP has done this in other states also.
Definitely, I don't agree with what you have to say that BJP is discriminating on the basis of language. But let me start this debate by saying Sarva Janangada Shanti Tota is what Kuempu, our national poet, has said. That means a peace, garden of peace. See, Kannada is our priority and Kannadiga is our pride. And we encourage such opportunities that a person from Karnataka, if he is eligible to get a job, he should get it, yes. But at the same time, Bangalore has been a cosmopolitan city for long. And because of its serene environment, it has attracted FDI in billions of dollars. This revenue generated from this FDI creates employment opportunities for Karnataka and development for Karnataka as well. Now, the question is, what has been raised by Mr. Shivaraj Tangadagi and Siddaramaiah government is Kannadiga. What is the definition for Kannadiga now? A person who is born in Karnataka and who is living here since last 50, 60 years is a Kannadiga. Or a person who is born outside Karnataka and who comes down and settles down and speaks in Kannada in Bangalore is a Kannadiga. Who is a Kannadiga then? You have stirred a hornet's nest, and it's a divisive trend what the Congress is trying to do.
Okay.
Divide them on caste, divide them on language, divide them on region. This is divisive politics to the extent that they have gone so low, ridiculous.
Okay,
I
okay.
condemn this Siddaramaiah government and Tangadagi for this action.
The last time a government tried to do this whole domicile preference in jobs was actually Haryana. It was a BJP government. That matter is pending in courts. And courts have never been in favor of this because it's violative of the fundamental right to roam freely in the country and work anywhere that is required, that you feel like.
Then what is the idea, madam?
Yeah.
Then what is the idea that Siddaramaiah government, despite knowing that there are legal obstructions, he wants
Why
to
are
bring
they
the
doing
bill?
so? No, it's a good question. That's what I'm saying. All parties in power do this because it's very emotive and it's very nice. It sounds great on paper, but it has never been successful in any state that it has been proposed in. George
Then
Korean,
a new
but one
definition
second,
of
sir.
Kannadigas to be made?
One second, sir.
A new
George
definition
Kurian,
for Kannadiga has to be made now.
George Kurian, that's exactly the question. This is not something that works either legally or otherwise. It's also considered counterproductive to business environment. Why would you do so? Why would the government even think on these lines?
But Shivani, we need to understand there is no dearth of talent as far as Karnataka is concerned.
Bangalore, no doubt, is a cosmopolitan city, and it's a capital of IT hub. We all agree, and that shouldn't stop or deter Karnataka, to be very specific, Bangalore city from hiring locals. I strongly believe that the government in the center, the government in Karnataka led by Siddaramaiah is doing absolutely right. We all understand that there is a growing unemployment in this country post 2014, ever since Modi government has come in the center, and when they were in the state, so they have not given preference to the locals as far as hiring is concerned. We are concerned about the local hiring, so that is the reason. And to get the statistics on paper, we need to do this exercise, and we are sure that anybody who is not in favor of this can go to courts. They can knock the doors of the courts, and the government will fight it hard in the court.
Revati ji, you agree with this, that this is absolutely needed to secure livelihoods of locals, that it's not wrong for a government to care first about its own domicile people?
I think it is ridiculous to say that they have to display all this on a public domain.
Okay.
What they can say is encourage people to use local talent wherever it fits the meritorious requirements, and I think that should continue to be the criteria. If the government could invest in skilling people and making sure that the right education is provided, why won't the companies hire them?
Yeah.
I mean, people
it would
are
be
looking
cheaper for them
people.
to hire locally, isn't it?
Yes, it would be cheaper for them. Nobody is happy to hire people from outside. They would love to hire people. Just ensure that you provide the right education to people and have exams on time, make sure that papers don't leak, do all the right things, and people will hire.
Okay, Sandeep, you want to add something? A final 30 seconds. Mr. Rangappa, I'm coming to you after that. Yes.
I look at it very holistically, and I look at it in terms of economics, about sustainability, livelihoods and everything. But primarily, if we have a pro-local employment, that is domicile locally, this kind of unplanned growth that Bengaluru is going through can be brought down a little, because you have thousands of people migrating to the city is unable to handle it. And it's creating a whole lot of illegal building menace, the civic infrastructure is crumbling, all kinds of messes happening. At the same time, there's a genuine lack of employment opportunities to locals because of higher competition as well, because just about anybody who graduates anywhere in the country lands up in Bengaluru, and they are willing to work at lower
No, I get your
salaries.
point, and I think I understand the government having concern on that. One, cities are usually unable to keep pace with the kind of growth that some of them have seen. And secondly, all competition may not be great. I think I kind of understand the middle point here. Yes, Mr. Rangarappa, final 30 seconds.
My question which I questioned the definition of Kannadiga has not been answered by our Congress spokesperson. Number two, I'm going to charge the Congress. Is this a window of opening for hooligans in the guise of activism who can rush into any institute and check these signboards? Are you encouraging that? Have you planted a seed for that in just unrestness? You don't. You are going and saying whoever wants to meet these things, you go and oppose.
No, you're right about that. Certainly, any kind of vandalism cannot be condoned in any manner on any issue, emotive or otherwise. I've run out of time. I think we've presented a diverse set of views. I do thank all of our guests for joining us. Coming up after a very short break, exclusive visuals of pre-wedding gala of Anant Ambani and Radhika Merchant. You don't want to miss this. Stay tuned.